A partisan battle, the brutally combative session that political experts are predicting for the 2017 Maryland General Assembly. The variety of issues that could spark some heated debate. Hello everyone, welcome to 11 TV Hill. I'm Jason Newton, and this Wednesday, Maryland lawmakers will convene for the 2017 General Assembly, and despite Democratic control in both the House and the Senate, heated debate over controversial issues seem to bubble to the top, and this year will likely be no different. As David Collins reports, battle lines are already being drawn over the state budget, paid sick leave, and something the governor calls the roadkill bill.
Legislative fireworks are expected over closing the $400 million hole in the state budget. Structural deficits are an ongoing problem. Presiding officers are already warning of unpopular cuts in programs, while the Hogan administration will push for flexibility in mandated spending. And some issues from the 2016 session will return. The Hogan administration wants to repeal the transportation scoring bill. He calls it the roadkill bill. Legislation that passed, vetoed by the governor, then overridden by the General Assembly. Democrats may attempt to overturn the governor's veto of a renewable energy law. The legislation requires the state to get a greater share of its power from renewable sources.
I have an amendment.
Paid sick leave legislation is returning, but not championed by Democrats. This time, it's an administration bill and likely to trigger a standoff with Governor Hogan.
Baltimore City 911.
A new twist to addressing illegal guns in Baltimore will be introduced in the upcoming session. Baltimore Police Commissioner Kevin Davis is supporting a bill imposing a mandatory minimum 1 year in jail for the misdemeanor crime of carrying a loaded illegal firearm, bumping it to a felony charge for repeat offenders with a mandatory minimum of 5 years in jail. Concerns about medical marijuana and the lack of African American licensees is prompting the Legislative Black Caucus to seek changes in the current law. Caucus members support pushing for changes to the state's bail practice. They want to impose risk-based pretrial conditions to set bonds rather than cash to ensure the defendant shows up. Critics contend under the current system, poor defendants sit in jail simply because they can't afford the bond. The skyrocketing cost of prescription drugs is behind a move to get legislation introduced requiring drug companies to disclose how they come up with the price, how much they spend on production, research, and advertising.
About 3 minutes left.
There's talk, but no bill addressing the governor's executive order to start public school after Labor Day. At least one legislative proposal is meeting with universal approval. State House presiding officers and the governor want statues of abolitionist leaders Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass to be placed in the restored Old House Chamber. For 11 TV Hill, I'm David Collins.
Now, with the 2017 session just days away, Governor Larry Hogan anticipates a few struggles with the mostly Democratic legislature. And as David mentions, the budget is sure to top that list. Let's look at the numbers. Right now, budget projections have Maryland facing a $400 million shortfall next year. The governor must submit budget bills to the legislature by January 18th. He blames the issue on funding mandates from Congress.
Now, because of the spending of the legislature and some shortfalls in revenues because of the national economy, we have a small deficit that we're going to be able to take care of, but it's tiny compared to the one we inherited.
Well, the governor could also face battles over transportation project priorities. Last session, lawmakers overrode his veto of a measure requiring the governor to score transportation projects and defend decisions to fund lower scoring priorities. Supporters of that bill say it's not meant to prohibit or prevent funding for projects across the state. Now, one issue sure to get a lot of attention this session is fracking, the controversial gas drilling process that extracts natural gas from Marcellus Shale, which is abundant in western Maryland. The Joint Committee on Administrative, Executive, and Legislative Review heard proposed regulations last month. If proposed, the regulations would enable the state to permit drilling in October when a fracking ban expires, unless the General Assembly intervenes again.
Maryland should lead the nation in saying no to fracking and instead transitioning to a clean, renewable energy future.
Fracking opponents delivered a letter signed by 100 Maryland health professionals who support a permanent ban on fracking. But supporters point to a 2014 Towson University study commissioned by the state that found gas drilling could create as many as 3,600 jobs over 10 years. Joining us today, Senate President Mike Miller and also Speaker of the House, Michael Bush. Thank you both for joining us. I appreciate it. This is a big year coming up. Budget will be tight, and you have some big decisions to make. As you tighten, do you have specifics yet on where you can trim?
Well, I think what we need to do also is see what's going to happen to us virtue of the federal government.
Okay.
Because what's going to happen there depends also on our budget. There's these people from the Midwest and out west, they shut down government or sequester government. It affects our economy as well. So we're going to have to look at the entire picture.
Sure. Tightest that you've seen so far? I mean, is this a different kind of year?
It's $400 million short. Last year we spent $50 million less than what the governor proposed, and we ended the session with a $400 million surplus and $1 billion in a rainy day fund. And then we had these new revenue estimates, and so we come up with a shortfall. We're going to do well. It's going to be some belt tightening, but we're going to be fine.
Sure. Talk to me about education a little bit. I don't know if you saw the survey recently, Education Week. We've tumbled to about 5th, but as the unions talk, they're thinking that money is the issue. They're not able to fund programs. They think that could be the difference maker. How do you prioritize that as we tighten?
From an education standpoint, we have to see what cuts he makes in education before we go forward.
Sure.
We're doing great in education now. In terms of K through 12, higher education, community colleges, we're looking at a way to cut community college costs to encourage more and more people to be able to go to college. Also to expand our trade possibilities, so people that don't want to go to a 4-year college can maybe go to trade school. But we're doing very well in terms of education. When we looked at, we're number 1 in all categories in that center. But what they say, the differences between the highest income students and the lowest income students, there's a gap there that needs to be addressed, and we're going to work on that very, very strongly.
Tell me a little bit about what's been dubbed as the roadkill bill. There's some who feel like, even though there's an opportunity to appeal if the governor decided to in the scoring system, that it wouldn't work, that people wouldn't really follow it the way that it's written. Do you feel that way, or do you feel like it's?
I feel it's raw politics. I mean, this bill's advisory only, and I've gone through them 6 times. I know the governor well and his staff. I said, look, what changes do you want in the bill? And we'll make them. Nobody has come back to us one time that said, we would like a specific change in the bill. Instead, even though the bill is only advisory, they want to use it as a election year gimmickry, and it's very unfortunate because we still have 2 years left to deal with the governor and his staff, and they want to make war on the legislature for a bill that's advisory only because he doesn't want the people to know he's building a road to Delaware or West Virginia rather than Baltimore Beltway or the Washington Beltway, where the gridlock is in place, and that's what it's all about. He doesn't want people to see where he's putting the state tax monies and the people where they voted from. They voted from the urban areas, tax money in gridlock. Instead, he doesn't want to see what the money's going to Podunk U,
Well, let me just say this, that Governor overpromised on his road construction program, and much of that is based on the fact that the gas tax hasn't produced the money it has because gas prices have been so low. But the fact of the matter is most of the things he's done is cost shifted road projects down to local government. He cost shifted $250 million down to Prince George's County to build the interchange for the FBI. He cost shifted money down to Montgomery County for the transit system down there, and the capital city corridors transit system he took right out of the CPT. So I mean, this idea that he can't fund what he wants to fund is nonsense. He has every right to fund what he wants, and the bill doesn't say that. It says exactly what the President and the Senate said, was all we want and the citizens of Maryland want is know where you're investing the money that's coming in from the Transportation Trust Fund to build roads.
Tell me about your priorities this year. What do you want to see done through this session?
Like I say, we're going to focus on education, but at the same time, we're going to look at opiates and heroin, find ways it's an epidemic, and we need to find some way to deal with it.
We're going to try to move people into the workplace so they can get into the trades and learn to be a carpenter or electrician. You got to get people back into the workplace.
We're also going to look at sick leave again. You know,
sick leave
for working men and women that have been struggling through this recession. We're going to look at sick leave.
Sure. And the governor seems to be on board with that. I mean, there's some differences, I think.
Well, the difference is he wants to help the cartels and the corporations, the monopolies, people at 50 employees or more, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So I think what we need to do is help the people at 15 employees or more. Yeah? Okay. If you got 50 employees or more, you have a sick leave in place, you got a vacation plan, you got a pension plan in place. We're talking about people that don't have these benefits And so we're going to expand that.
Talk to me about politics in general. Right now, we saw America sort of divided in this
Right.
presidential election. Back here, I guess not sort of divided,
Right.
extremely divided.
Right.
But I noticed back when we had Governor Ehrlich, I know that I remember a word you said, the gloves are coming off. But I feel like there's a little bit more togetherness this time around. I feel like you guys are able to sort of meet at times more than before. Is that accurate? Do you feel like
Well,
we're finding some common ground now?
We want the state to prevail. It's more important than the governor, the speaker, myself. The state has got to do well. The budget's got to be balanced. Our schools have got to be funded, and that's going to That's what's going to happen in the end.
Are we able to find it, do you think, sir, at least as far as you're concerned, that we can find some middle ground in Maryland, that perhaps the country...
Look, first of all, I mean, I don't know with Senator Miller, but the governor hasn't met with me since the end of the session.
No.
Met with me once during the session. I have no clue what his agenda is. Occasionally, someone will come down. I mean, the paid sick leave or earned sick leave bill, and let me just state that, you have to earn your sick leave. In other words, you have to work a certain period of time before you even earn days that you can use for sick leave. But it's important. We passed the bill last year. We will certainly pass the bill again this year.
That aside, optimism going into this year.
It's going to be great.
Okay.
It's going to be hard, but we're going to make it. You sacrifice to make it work. I mean,
Okay.
if the governor wants to come down here, I'll shake his hand and say, "Look, what do we got to do to make things move forward?"
Okay.
Well, first of all, I think every session opens up with optimism and hope. I mean, there's a lot of issues out there that are important to a lot of people, and we try to keep moving Maryland forward, as the President and Senate has stated, whether it's by continuing to fund our higher education programs, our community colleges, and our education systems as we go forward. I think one of the bigger concerns, and it'll come from the federal government, is what regulations or laws that they change that affect the healthcare system. Because the healthcare system obviously is one that's very important in Maryland, probably the best in the nation when you have two research universities like Hopkins, Maryland. You got MedStar Health, you got all these community hospitals that if they get block grant for Medicaid, or they get significant cuts, you're going to find a lot of uninsured people, which are going to be absorbed by the general public of the state of Maryland. I mean, the Maryland taxpayer absorbs those individuals because you can't be turned down from the emergency room.
Okay.
Okay.
We shall see, huh?
No taxes. The people can rest satisfied. No taxes. We're going to balance the budget, move the state forward. They're going to be happy with the results.
Okay. Gentlemen, thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Good to see you again.
Jason,
Appreciate you
good to
making
see you.
time, sir.